Welcome back to Base Camp, WNC. Well, we're here on this little homestead today that dates back over 150 years. But this thing was actually built in the 50s. And they added up this. This is actually the well house right here. But the owner went to upgrade and had to do some plumbing work and all on it. And he couldn't even take the lid off of it. It was made out of 2x6s every 16 inches and 1/2 inch plywood, and then roof shingles on top of that. And he couldn't even pick up one side, much less get in there. So he took it off with the tractor and threw it away. So this is what we're going to build, and this is part of we're getting back into the homesteading and prepping for the other 99% series. And this right here is made out of nothing but scrap lumber. Piece of leftover tin that was actually a cover sheet on some metal he bought for the house. And my time. So there's not a whole lot of money in it, but a little bit of work involved. And I'll show you how this thing is done. Stay tuned. Well, we're on a project to help people out and whatnot here lately. Instead of doing my big job, I got to get back on. But we're here today. Owner's got this. This is actually their pump house built on the side of a little shed by the carport. And you can see where somebody built it at some point in time and had to block in part of the window to get it to fit. This is about a 1950 something build. We're going to put new water system in for him and all. This is a deadhead tank, which means it's not a bladder tank. It doesn't have an air system. It don't have a bladder in it. It has nothing. 1950 something, everything's done in 3/4 inch galvanized pipe. Now we aren't going to touch that. They did last year redo the line. This goes down to the well, and they did something kind of weird, because out here in the yard, that mound of dirt right there is the well head, and they had to dig down to it, and the top of the well is like 2 foot buried down in the dirt. They kept getting all this dirt in the thing. Well, come to find out, the top rotted out. But I've never seen the top of the well buried. I guess it doesn't freeze that way, but legally and by code it ain't right, because groundwater could be getting in there. So that's going to get changed and fixed. But this was done in 1950, 60, and it is a steel casing 6-inch well we're going to weld to and add up and bring up. But they did run a new poly line. They got plastic coming into this thing now instead of the galvanized metal. That's what rusted out. But we're going to put a new bladder tank and switch. And I thought we'd get it all done at one shot, but he's an Amazon shopper, and he got on Amazon, and he can get a 62-gallon pressure tank that comes with the bronze T and the valve and the pressure switch and check valves, and cheaper than he can get just a tank at the big box store down the road here. So he saves almost $100, but we got to wait a couple days for it to come in. So we're going to go ahead and work on this top. And what I've done is we cemented yesterday all the holes in and put anchor bolts in. And we're going to go ahead and put this top that I've got already built, already framed out for it. We're going to put it on. And hopefully this time, when he took the lid off of this thing, it had 10,000 snake skins in it and mice and everything else. We're going to seal up all the holes as best we can. We may even put some hardboard insulation on the blocks, even though they are filled with vermiculite and perlite and all for some insulation. We're going to try to insulate the inside of it. They did jerry rig a power cord coming in. They took one of the window panes out and put a hole in it, and that kind of feeds the heat tape that's kind of laid around that thing. We're going to try to clean all this up. But today we're going to go ahead and put on the well top. We're going to show you what we're going to do with this thing. And like I said, we've got it all cemented in, put anchor bolts in the thing. But right now, just to kind of seal it up, we're going to put construction glue on both edges of the block and all around the bolts and up along the house and everything else. We're going to glue everything down as much as we possibly can and try to keep the drafts and the critters out. So let me go ahead and get some of that done, and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, here's all we've done. We put a liberal amount of construction adhesive all around the block and where the 45s are. And this isn't really to hold the wood down. The anchor bolts are going to do that. We're just trying to seal up every little possible hole for mice and critters. We could use foam insulation that would actually seal it better, but they'll tend to eat through it. And this is going to pull it down pretty tight. So we're going to lay the boards on, and I'll show you what that looks like. Well, even to seal against the brick here going up, we even put a damn big, little heavy bead of it right there on there. Like I said, we're gonna make a mess out of this thing and glue it as good as we can. We got plenty on it, because as we put this one down, it's squirting out on the inside. Didn't do too bad on the outside anyhow. Maybe the owner will come back and even paint this thing this time. Hasn't been painted in 60, 70 years, so maybe he'll paint that thing this time. Well, it must be doing something, because even when we put the impact driver in, we are squirting some glue out here and there. And there it is, with the foundation down, hopefully attached. Looking pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and put this back plate on that I got. Let me show you how we're going to do it. Well, this is how we had to build this thing. We got 2 blocks on either side, a hole in the middle where it's got to go over top of this block that's sticking out in the windowsill. And then the rest of that's going to get wire mesh and spray foam. But we went around the plate right there with glue on both sides. And this will be sitting up against the brick. Like I said, none of this is really for strength or anything. It's going to be screwed down and it's all bolted down. This is nothing but keeping critters out. Well, I just figured I'd show you right quick how this thing fits in here. And this was a 2x8, just cut down to 3.5 inches on this side. Cut out for the 1x going through. And 2 of them up here through the middle. What this amounts to is a whole lot lighter. This is 2 pieces of 1.5 inch foam to give it some insulation. We're going to go ahead and put this window seal and stuff right here. This is actually the crack right here where it'll hinge. And you can see there's going to be a good sized gap right there. We're going to stuff some hardware cloth and spray foam in there. Just try to match it up as best we can around that thing and keep the critters out. And let me show you what it looks like when we get done. Well, I didn't put 1, I put 2 layers of this Power flashing. And it's a butyl rubber, self-stick. You peel the back end of it off, and wherever it lays down and touches, that's it. Because you don't pull this stuff up and move it. We got 2 layers of that, and that's just to, right here is the hinge point. That's just to give it a little bit of sealing on that thing. Like I said, this thing ain't perfect, but it's going to be a lot better than it was before. So let's go ahead and we'll put some metal and some hinges on it. And I'll kind of show you what it looks like when we get done opening it up. Well, there it is. Put the metal back on. And like I said, right here is where it goes up. Right here is that window sealer. And all that's going to do is give us a waterproof seal right there. We're going to get the spray foam when we get inside. And of course, we're going to fill in that crack that's all along the windowsill. We're going to shoot spray foam down here, even though it's up against the foam, but we're going to try to keep mice out every way we can. Because when the mice get in there, then the snakes go after the mice. And right here, we're going to spray foam up underneath all these holes and seal everything in. But one thing the owner likes about this thing, me holding this camera here, one-handed, and we can pick the whole lid up. And it'll actually fold all the way up, back up against the house now. As you can see, we got glue squirted out, running all over. We have a few more things to do, but we got to get in here when it comes in, and we're going to take you along, and we're going to go ahead and upgrade his whole water system from 1950, 60 something, when it was done last. We'll show you how it all looks. But for right now, that's what it's converted to. like it, share it, subscribe it, tell your friends about it. Like I said, this whole thing right here was all done with scrap lumber, leftover piece of metal. So it's not a whole lot of work. It's not a whole lot of money. A little bit of work, but not a whole lot of money involved in it. But like I said, like it, share it, subscribe, tell your friends about it. I appreciate it. Help me get it out there. Thank you.